We now learn that the University of Penn successfully lobbied the FBI to drop their China initiative, which was an investigation by the FBI into all the reach that China has with our research universities around the United States. Even the most liberal university presidents will tell you they're concerned that China has infiltrated all of our universities with spies who are stealing our intellectual property, who are stealing all of our research, development, and technology and things like that.
That was the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, with me over the weekend on Fox Business, Marie Bartiromo's Wall Street, after months of my question as to why this administration dropped the so-called China initiative. Well, now we know. It was because of pressure from the University of Pennsylvania after Penn received $50 million plus from communist China. Partly used that money to fund an office for Joe Biden. And it was in that very office that classified documents were found, part of several batches of classified documents in Biden's possession. Now, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, has launched his first investigation out of the judiciary into President Biden's and the DOJ's handling of this situation over classified documents. This comes as Chairman Jordan is also leading a new select subcommittee on the weaponization of the federal government. Joining me right now is the man himself, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. Mr. Chairman, congratulations to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Well, let's talk about your investigation. What are you looking at in terms of these classified documents? Let's start there.
Well, I think a couple things jump out, Maria. First is this lack of transparency. Even though the White House says they're being transparent, it's been just the opposite. So they find these documents on November 2nd. We don't learn about it. We, the American people, don't learn about it until January 9th. And that's from a news report. When the White House goes public and tells us about the only thing they talk about are the first batch, the ones found at the Penn Biden Center. They don't tell us about the second batch that were found in the garage in the adjacent room, even though they knew about it at the time. So they can say they're being transparent, but it's anything but. And then, of course, there's the obvious thing that so many people have talked about. It's this double standard. It's, Clinton mishandles classified information, and they get Biden mishandles classified information, they get treated a certain way. And then, of course, President Trump gets his home raided 91 days before this midterm election. I think those are the two things that stand out. And by the way, why is it always the left, the Democrats, they get to decide, they get to go find the information and hand it over to the government? I still remember during the Benghazi hearings, I asked Secretary Clinton about the 60-some thousand emails she had. I said, Madam Secretary, we don't need to see the personal ones. We don't want that. This is America. This thing called privacy is really important. We don't need to see that. But we don't exactly trust you and your lawyers to hand over to the committee what the American people are entitled to see. Why don't you let us do it this way? How about a neutral third party like a retired federal judge? How about we have them evaluate it and hand over the documents? And of course, they said no. They said, we'll decide and we'll destroy 30-some thousand emails, which is exactly what they did. So there's always this double standard. And frankly, that's why we've created this select committee to look into some of this disparate treatment we see in the way the Justice Department operates.
Well, I mean, this is the Department of Justice. And once again, isn't this election interference? I mean, the FBI sat on the Biden laptop right before the election. They pursued FISA warrants before the 2016 election. This is the third election, 2016, 2020, 2022, that we're seeing election interference. Is it not?
Yep. Well, I would even say it's more. I mean, you're exactly right. 2016, they spy on Trump's campaign. 2018, it's the Mueller investigation. 2020, they suppressed the Hunter Biden story. 2022, they raid the president's home 91 days before an election, but they don't tell us about Joe Biden's classified document issue that they knew about prior to the election. And now you got the special counsel investigating President Trump and President Biden. Impacting probably impacting the 2024 race potentially. So, I mean, it's election. Maybe the FBI should just stay out of things and let the American people decide who we want representing us in Congress and who we want as commander-in-chief, and not weigh in on all these various elections.
So can you and these committees improve things before 2024? Are you going to be able to get a handle on this?
Step one in stopping this behavior is first exposing it, getting all the truth to the American people. That's why Speaker McCarthy has established this select committee to look at what we've termed as the weaponization of government. I mean, you can just go down the list. The very first whistleblower who came to us and told us about the Justice Department going after moms and dads showing up at school board meetings. And that whistleblower, FBI agent whistleblower, told us, he said, he used this line about the highest levels of the FBI. He said it's rotted at its core. And then we've had the different treatment, the double standard where January 6th defendants get treated one way, and then the rioters and looters of the summer of 2020 get treated in a different fashion, it looks like. Then you have how pro-life activists are treated versus the pro-abortion activists protesting at Supreme Court justices' home this past spring and summer. Then you look at the FISA abuses, and of course the one you were just talking about, which is maybe the most alarming, the idea that our government is paying big tech companies to give them information about American citizens and working this collusion between big tech and big government to keep information from the American people. And as we know, in 2020, important information about the Hunter Biden story just days and weeks before that most important election we have, election for President of the United States. So those are the things we're going to examine in this select committee and make sure the truth is out there for the American people.
Well, what do you want to say to these companies that are getting bullied by the FBI and the DOJ to give up all of this information? I mean, can the FBI just go to Twitter and say, what is the geolocation? Who's the user? Where do they live? Who are they talking to? Are they supposed to just give it up? What about AT&T? What have they given up? What about all these other companies? Can they just get bullied and roll over for the FBI, which seems to be what they've been doing?
There's supposed to be a warrant. It's called the United States Constitution. It's called due process. It's called respecting liberty and freedom. So there's supposed to be a warrant if you're going to go get that kind of information. This is one of the issues that some of these FBI agent whistleblowers have talked to us about, this idea that they're handing stuff over without proper predicate, without a warrant. That is what is so alarming. And the idea that they were paying them, as you pointed out, $3.5 million that the government, the FBI, is paying Twitter to get this information and do these searches and do the things that they were doing is truly frightening. I actually think there's a template that's used by the left. The left will say the lie. Big media will report it. Big tech will amplify it. Then when you try to tell the truth, you get attacked, you get called all kinds of names. That's how it operates. Yeah. But then when the government weighs in, that's when it's a direct violation, I think, of Americans' First Amendment free speech rights. That's the thing we're most concerned about, is the government weighing in on this and influencing that process, that template that's used by the left. That's when it gets particularly scary. And again, that's the motivation for having this committee, so that we can expose all this and make sure it stops and doesn't happen in this great country. Real
quick, we got to jump, but it feels to me that you have two issues here that you got to get through. Number one, you got to get those whistleblowers to come out and testify under oath. Will you be able to do it? And number two, what about all of this revolving door of government going to social media? Jim Baker was the general counsel at the FBI, and then he becomes the number 2 general counsel at Twitter. And that's just one example. So how do you got to break that?
Yeah, we're first on the whistleblower question. We've now had 19 whistleblowers come talk to us. FBI agents take whistleblower status, come talk to us. What's scary is many of them we think have been retaliated against by the Justice Department. We are working with them. We think many of them are in fact going to be willing to sit for a deposition and willing to be willing to testify in a public hearing. Okay. So we're working on that as we speak. The other issue of back and forth, it's so true. I mean, Jim Baker was at the FBI and then of course at Twitter. Very, very concerning what's going on there. We want to get some of these communications. We want to get, for example, the communications between Elvis Chan, the FBI agent who was meeting weekly with the big tech platforms in Silicon Valley. We want to get those communications. We think that'll be real important for this investigation.
And I'm wondering if he's reporting back to the Chinese Communist Party, by the way. I know his parents emigrated here from communist China. Does he have other family that the CCP is bullying unless he gives them information? This story is so big. Jim Jordan, thanks very much. We'll be watching your leadership. We'll be right back.